G'day, this is Central Coast Newspaper's weekly news, 5 at 5, for the second week of March 2023, International Women's Day week. In the bulletin this week, train chaos on Wednesday, local health stats plummet, Women's Day celebrated across the coast, mariners are off to Mudgee, autumn gardening news, and Chef Daniel's Brazilian chicken stroganoff. Now, Central Coast Rail users caught up in Wednesday afternoon's total rail stance are still searching for answers. School children, travellers and commuters were amazed by the fact that all trains across the entire city network were at a standstill from approximately 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. The situation arose after the failure of the digital radio system that train controllers use to communicate with rail crews. That's what Transport Manager Centre spokesman Derek Peterson had to say. Travellers were advised by staff at Gosford station to consider other forms of transport, as staff were unsure how long the outage would last. The CEO of Sydney Trains, Matt Langland, said a communications systems upgrade occurred over the weekend prior, but the advice were the failures were unrelated. The Premier has promised a fare-free day later. Now, latest data from the Bureau of Health Information reveals that the Central Coast has slipped to become the second worst health district in New South Wales for emergency treatment and elective surgery wait times. Central Coast Hospitals recorded the second lowest result in New South Wales for emergency department treatment times, falling behind every other local health district except Western Sydney. At both Gosford and Wyong Hospital emergency departments, almost half of the patients didn't receive treatment on time. 48.1% at Gosford and 49.8% in Wyong. Central Coast Local Health District saw an average wait time of 1 hour and 20 minutes for transfer from ambulance to hospital care, compared with the New South Wales average of 56 minutes. Elective surgery wait times have also the second worst in the state, with wait times standing at 17 days for urgent surgeries and 401 days for non-urgent surgeries. Now, International Women's Day was celebrated across the region on Wednesday and across the week, with dozens of events, breakfast, lunches, speeches and official ceremonies to celebrate the achievement and diversity of women in our community. New South Wales electorate-based awards were held by all 4 state members of parliament, in a tradition that has grown in recent years across the political divide. And on Saturday, the Naughty Noodle Funhouse celebrate one of the largest events at Ettalong at their Rayon Riot event. Now, the Central Coast Mariners head to Mudgee this weekend to take on Macarthur FC at Mudgee's Glen Willow Stadium. The Mariners are in the hunt for a win and 3 match points after a series of draws and losses that have them stagnating coming into the last part of the regular season. Last week's loss against Western Sydney Wanderers was disappointing for the team and fans. Coach Montgomery said he was obviously not happy with the result, though was impressed by the spirit of the team's play and noted that 9 local academy players made up the team last week. The Mariners have slipped to 4th position on the Isuzu Ute A-League ladder. Now, if you're looking for a trip, once again the club are putting on a bus for fans to get to Mudgee for Saturday evening's game. Now, here's what's happening in local gardening news.
I'm Sherilyn Darcy and this is the gardening news. The Dawson Community Garden Market Day is on Saturday, the 11th of March, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come along and support the garden, bush tucker and gardening responsibly by the Australian Plant Society of Central Coast. March meeting is on Saturday the 11th from 1:30 p.m. Permy Kids nature-based activities in the garden for 8 to 12-year-olds is on every Wednesday from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. in Kilcare. Bookings are essential. Lots of fun activities coming up for the kids, and you'll need to call Anna to book, and that's on 0407 591 278.
All of this week's 44 local stories can be found on our local news website, coastcommunitynews.com.au, and in this weekend's newspaper, out now on Thursdays. Listen to our bulletin on Radio 93.3 FM every day, or find us on your mobile phone's Google News and Apple News apps. And of course, you can follow all of our socials. Now, we leave you this week with a taste of Brazil, where Chef Daniel's guest is the young Brazilian striker for the Central Coast Mariners, Mudgee. The 24-year-old Mudgee moved to the Central Coast nearly 2 years ago to play for the Mariners after playing football professionally in Singapore and Brazil, but had a long sustained injury. In this episode, Chef Daniel makes Brazilian chicken stroganoff, a favourite of the young mariner.
Is your vegetables?
Not too hot?
No. Yeah, you could
Thanks,
blow.
Mum.
You want a blow for you? Yeah. Bit romantic.
I'm not making me laugh.
Why? No, like...
The full recipe is in this week's paper, or head over to our YouTube channel to get the highly entertaining Studio Kitchen program. I'm David Abrahams for Central Coast Newspapers. Have a great weekend, and thanks again for tuning in.